Good morning, everybody, and welcome to episode 8 of House of Property. Good morning, Katie. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Martin. How are you?
I'm okay, thank you. I'm very good. I'm very good. It's Thursday already. How does that happen?
And I ask how you are because obviously today you are another year older than you were last year. Just putting it out there.
I know. I was very fortunate that during lockdown I had a big birthday. I am now 30.
50, everyone, 50. Doesn't look a day over 27, does he? Apart from the white bits.
I am now 40. I was spoiled rotten, Katie. I had a fabulous day. I tell you what, it just goes to show, doesn't it? I tell you what, my friends and family and colleagues did a phenomenal job of making me feel very, very special during a lockdown big birthday. And it just made you realise just how actually you can do things during lockdown. For example, my best mate organised a Zoom party, which makes you go, but it was brilliant. Not only were 2 of my former employers on there, which is always quite a nice thing because it means you've not fallen out with them. But there was also a lot of friends and family, lots of Mickey taking out of me, lots of embarrassing photographs, and cooking lessons with my mom and my niece. We had a wonderful, wonderful weekend. So thank you very much for reminding everybody.
Huh? What were your top presents?
Oh my goodness me. I had all sorts of really good presents. I had a paddleboard, which was my big present, which was lovely. Some cufflinks. I had wine. I had a new work bag from my colleagues as well. And I also had from a friend of the show and yours and I, a lady called Jan Height, who many of you will know, a superb book. She knows, anybody who's been on one of my courses will know that I quote Maya Angelou a lot. People forget what you said, people forget what you did, but they never forget how you make you feel. And Jan bought me a fantastic book of quotes from Maya Angelou. So it was all very good. Lots of lovely presents. I was very
an awesome birthday, and one that you had to do your lockdown party. And I gather that there was a lot of mention about your hair and badges. And that wouldn't be to do with a little smattering of white in there, would it, Martin, at all?
Salt and pepper is a distinguished look. Yes. No, there was a quiz to identify if it was my hair, a celebrity's hair, or the hair of a badger on a Zoom. Yeah.
I love it.
You've got friends like that.
So it wasn't a too bad a lockdown birthday, bearing in mind it was a big one. I know it's a bit different, but it was okay, yeah?
It was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I would have loved to have a big party and have everybody in one room, but put that to one side a second. It just shows you what you can do. I had very low expectations just because it was a lockdown birthday and I was made to feel super special. Thank you for your lovely message saying that I look 25. Anyway, shall we crack on with the show? So I want to talk about the market, Katie. I want to know what the heck is going on because this is uncharted territory once again. We're in January, normally a month that as the days get slightly longer, the market gets busier and busier. We're implementing everything that we were planning in December, but then we get a lockdown. It's a funny January. What is going on in the market? What are you finding and what are other people telling you?
Okay, so on the ground at the moment, I am hearing that it's very much a mixed bag, that some people are really, really, really busy, like you would be normally in January, and others are actually finding it's much, much quieter. But a number of agents that I've spoken to are comparing this market today with what they were experiencing in the last quarter or in December, when it was still really, really busy. And actually, I think what we've got to do is go back to 2020 and 2019, those Januaries, and look at those figures. We're still busy dealing with inquiries of people saying, can I move? Can I come to the market? And so properties are still coming on. And I think we've just got to give a very positive message whilst we're staying safe. One of the topical things talking at the moment, obviously stamp duty is, Martin, what do you say to a client or a buyer when they say, I want to put my house on the market because I want to hit the 31st of March deadline, or I'm offering a full asking price of £475,000, Martin, but I need it to be over the line on the 31st of March. What do you give as advice?
Well, you've got to first of all do your due diligence, haven't you? Before you jump to the net, my gut reaction is to turn around and say, you have not got a hope in hell, my friend. Somebody asked me this yesterday, so I worked it out in the number of days. There is 70 days until yesterday was 70 days. So today, 69 days until the 31st of March. So the average time it's taking from agreeing a sale to get into an exchange of contracts, I think you were telling me the other week, was about 120, 130 days. Yeah. So my gut reaction is you haven't got a hope in hell. But there will always be some people who will be able to, who will take out a search indemnity that depend on if they're not having a survey or having a survey. What is the onward purchase? Is it an empty property? What's the chain detail? So I imagine there will always be a small minority that might be able to get through. But having had only yesterday a call with 7 sales progressors, a Microsoft Teams call with 7 sales progressors, not only are solicitors not getting back to convey to other estate agents because they're so busy doing the job rather than reporting on the job, solicitors are now complaining they can't get hold of each other because there's so many transactions going through. Rightmove came out with that stat, didn't they? 600,000 transactions going through the pipeline at this moment in time. It's very, very, very congested there. And so I would be saying to the client, highly, highly, highly unlikely, verging on impossible. And I would be saying to an agent that was dealing with that, it's massively important that you do the due diligence on your pipeline at the moment to understand if we're going to have a cliff edge, if we're going to have a end to the holiday on the 31st of March. And interesting that they're not going to debate it in Parliament, so they must have a decision in their minds that they're either not going to do it or they're going to continue it. But if we do have that 31st of March deadline, how much of your pipeline is going to want to either renegotiate or fall through if they haven't got the stamp duty payment there? And so do the due diligence on your pipeline before. I mean, I think this should have been being done in November, not on the 21st of January.
But you should be saying as well, though, surely to potential deals at the moment, rather than you haven't got a hope in hell. Yeah, great one. You've just got to... it is what it is. It is what it is. And you won't renegotiate. Or actually, if you don't hit the 31st of March deadline, this is the fallback position. This is plan B. And I think we've all got to have that conversation with our vendors and our buyers so we don't have that massive renegotiation on the 1st of April. I think, Martin, we need to ban the word cliff edge, because I hate that, because people literally are saying, oh, we're going to come to the edge and the housing market's going to fall off. And I don't think that's going to happen, because people are moving for lifestyle. But the conversation is very much I'm having, and I put 2 deals in solicitors' hands this week already, basically saying that, yes, we will hit that 31st of March deadline. Now, I think that's nigh on impossible, but I have checked the buyers' solicitors and the sellers' solicitors. There's no chain, there's no third party involved, i.e. a mortgage or anything like that. So in those simplified situations, you might get over the line. But we've had a plan B conversation with those buyers to say, actually, you know, if we don't hit that, our vendors will do this. And we aren't going to reduce by £14,300, but actually we would give you a contribution of X. So I think it's maybe important to have that conversation, and obviously any sales moving forward to make sure that in the sales memorandum it's very, very clear, very, very transparent. That's got to be the way forward.
Yeah, so they know what's going on. I like that as a plan B, to know exactly what you're going to do if we don't get to the deadline in time. Yeah. What is your situation, Mr. Vendor and Mrs. Vendor? What is the situation, Mrs. Buyer and Mr. Buyer? I like that. But you go back to 2016, when I know that it was a buy-to-let, so it was a commercial decision where we're dealing with now lots of people who are buying with their heart, not so much with their head. But there were people that were able to do a transaction very quickly, and solicitors that were able to convert a transaction very quickly as we got to that bottleneck, is what we were calling it at the time, of transactions trying to get through. I agree with you. Cliff edge. I think the cliff edge comes to the deals that are in the pipeline. I don't think that after the 31st of March is a cliff edge in the market. I actually believe that once we get out of this lockdown, maybe not, certainly not the surge that we saw at the end of the first lockdown, but I think there is that demand is starting to pent up again. There is still, talking to lots of agents, still high demand from buyers. In fact, there's been a number of properties that have been going to best and final offers because of the fact that there isn't the choice out there in stock. So demand seems to be there, but actually what is slowing us down is the fact that there isn't the new stock coming to the market at this moment in time, even though
Or
there's that
it's slower. It's slower coming to the market.
Slower coming to the market. The other slightly interesting thing that's happened the last couple of weeks, just from a cash flow point of view, is that a lot of the conveyancers quite rightly are trying to do simultaneous exchange and completion, or reducing the length of time between exchange and completion. I understand it from a conveyancer's point of view, because they're concerned quite rightly, when acting on their client's best interest, that if somebody within a chain gets COVID or has to self-isolate, we've got a real problem. But this makes it very stressful. And also, because this is only just started to come in, we're seeing a lag of exchanges take place at the back end of January, ready for a very, very busy first couple of weeks of February, where normally, traditionally, we see more exchanges in the back end of a month. I think February, a bit like December, will be really busy. But I was just going to pick back on your point about what you compare it to, because as you quite rightly said, lots of people seem to be talking to me comparing January to December or November. Well, we had one of the busiest Decembers on record. So it's unfair to put January against that December. And if you go back to last year, we had a bit of a shot in the arm last January in the fact that Boris had just been elected. We got some stability. COVID hadn't arrived yet. It was still a Chinese issue rather than a global issue. And the market took off with quite some swing. It had a shot in the arm and sort of went off on a bit of confidence with Boris with his Brexit oven-ready deal. And we all kind of went off. I think that if you compare January 2021 to January 2019, then you're starting to get a little bit more of a sense of what is actually happening.
Yeah, no, I agree totally. And I think just on back to your simultaneous exchanges and completions, that's hard enough, not in a pandemic and not when the country is in lockdown. And I've had an exchange with a deferred completion, much to everyone's disgust, and to the solicitors, they haven't advised it. But my clients are in their 70s. They haven't moved for 25 years, and they can't possibly do a simultaneous exchange and completion. Their family is in Surrey. They can't come and help them move because that's against government guidelines. And so we're going the extra mile to try and help them and make it as less stressful as possible. If they're done in simultaneous exchange and completion, oh my God, it's just, you can't do it. It's just, well, never say never, you can do it, but it's just too stressful in a lot of the situations. And I think that you've got to look, obviously, not being a solicitor or a conveyancer myself, but you've got to look, haven't you, at what is the legal thing as to what is actually the right social thing to do as well. Because the COVID clauses that are being negotiated currently are 4 or 5 pages long and probably taking several weeks sometimes for everyone to agree up and down a chain. So that's adding to the whole angst of everything. So we've just got to say it is what it is. It will be what it will be. And I'm sure you've got a Maya Angelou quote to cover it off, but we've got a supply and demand imbalance without a doubt, and that is meaning house prices are holding up. But then on the other hand, you get lovely vendors, don't you, who say, actually, I want to come to the market now, and I think my house is worth £675,000. I know you valued it in August last year, Katie, at 550, but I've seen what Rightmove are saying in their stats, and I've seen the demand, and there's some rubbish out there that says sale agreed. So 675, yes, and it's like, oh my god. So again, there are other agents getting that up and down the country, and it's just about giving the best advice. So what would you do about overvaluing?
It's hard, isn't it? It's hard because actually the market has moved on and the comparables aren't there to do it, and there's not a lot of transactions to be able to compare it to. And it's that commercial dilemma again. I've always been a massive believer that you give the client look you in the eye advice and turn around and put their I always put down on my contract, my advice is this, but we are going to test the market at this, and we're going to review it on this date. And if this is what we need to expect to have happened by this date, if it doesn't happen, then we need to react to it.
Oh, I like that. I'm writing down my advice now because I'm going to use that because I've had that this week. So I really like that. It was something you kind of like. You used to do some of these things, didn't you? And then your head down and you're really busy and you forget some of these little great nuggets that you've got. Oh gosh, yeah. That's brilliant.
We do that in agency. That's what we do. We do some really magic stuff, and then we get busy. And I always say to my team, when they've had a good month. So the back end of December, it was really, we celebrated December. It was a massively good month, December. I said, write down what worked, what were we doing, what worked, because as sure as eggs are eggs, we will have a duff month. And the best thing we can do is get that list out and make sure that we're going through that list of everything that we were doing. Always jot down what worked when you do it. A little bit like January this year. Normally you start to go into January and it's a bit of a steamroller and it gets busier because we had to educate everybody that the market was still open. We sent out thousands of emails to applicants and rang all vendor contact within 24 hours. And all of a sudden there was activity arrived. So make sure that every January, first week of January, we were as proactive as we were then. Maybe that makes me a sleepy agent in the past, but you learn lessons as you're going through, don't you?
I think that's a really important point though, that is, don't get caught napping. Yeah, right. This is what a lot of agents were doing when we went into the last lockdown. And I know it was different because we couldn't physically operate and we can this time. But don't get caught napping. Make sure, and I know we did last month as well. So we talked about getting your content ready, getting your advice ready, getting your videos out there. You know, it doesn't matter if it's a bit raw or anything like that. I mean, before we came live, and those of you that are watching obviously can probably see that Martin looks beautifully light, and I don't quite look quite as light, but we've both got these lovely little ring lights that I'm going to show you. Here's mine. Here we go. And actually we've been working out, because there's no one out there going, this is how you do it. This is where you put your light. So I'm there going, oh, the lights in my glasses. Oh my God. And Martin's going, oh my God, my hair isn't right. And I've got a great photo for everyone just to pop that up later on our hot page. But it's just, no one's telling you what to do. So get out there and get it done. Get your video out there. Tell your applicants, tell your buyers, be in the conversation. I mean, we were chatting, weren't we, I think last week, Martin, about little things that you can do that make a difference whilst supporting the high street, and also combining the sort of tech side of things as well, because that's what we were meant to be talking about this podcast, wasn't it? This was our digital podcast. Yeah. But one of the things that we've been looking at is just teeing up with, say, local coffee shop. We all like a bit of coffee. We all like a bit of cake, don't we? That's the other thing. And just teeing up with them and saying to people, you know, have a virtual valuation or a face-to-face safe distance evaluation, if that's what you still prefer. And if you do that, here's a little voucher for your cake when you have coffee from your local coffee shop, or something like, just to try and be a bit different but support the community at the same time. So on that, and talking about virtual viewings, I've been speaking to quite a few agents this week, and some really get it, and some vendors or potential sellers really get it. But most of the time, it's still safe distance, socially distanced, safe valuations that are face to face. Are you finding that?
I think people still want the valuer to go around and see the property, don't they? But also, I wonder if they understand that there is an opportunity not to have that. And I don't. You know, virtual valuations, I think, will have their place. I'm a fan of virtual valuations. I think that they should stay around for after COVID. But it does go against everything that we've learned and our gut reaction for years and years and years, because we've always been of the opinion that if we have a cold valuation, it can be as cold as a fish at Christmas time, and you don't want to get. You still try and get out there to see them. You still try and get out there as a valuer. To be able to get into the lounge, to motivate them to come to the market, motivate them to do something. That's part of our jobs, is to motivate someone to actually do something. If it's as cold as that,
building a rapport though as well, building a rapport.
Yes, absolutely. But should we go now? So I'm thinking about moving in. I'm thinking about moving in the summer, Martin. Should I be going out at the moment? I don't think you should. But what I can do for you is let's have a conversation, and rather than just over the telephone, let's have a video conversation about it. And maybe you can have a quick look round. And there's some fantastic products out there to be able to help you show around properties and see what's going on. So I think that you can encourage virtual viewings for your cold valuations, but you will inevitably have to be going out to people.
And what do you use then? What would you recommend? Is that a Zoom, a StreamYard, or something more whizzy?
I think you can do things more whizzy. I think there is products coming to the market now that enable you to work and share cameras on phones, so that you can zoom in and out, that you can direct people where they're going, that you can record a video and send it back to them, which I think is a brilliant product for people to be able to, if you're talking to Mr. at evaluation, but you want Mrs. to be able to see the key parts of it, if you can send the video out to them of the key part of your conversation, talking about the value and why your service proposition is the one to beat your competitors. Wow, that's strong, isn't it? And there's some phenomenal products out there that I've been looking at over the last couple of weeks.
So do we mention then that Quickcast? Because a lot of people
Quickcast is a very good one. Very, very good. Very, very good.
And if anyone watching wants to know more about Quickcast, just let Martin or I know, because obviously we've got this fabulous little tool we've both been trialing or beta testing, which is just awesome. So you will see this name everywhere shortly, but you heard it here first.
Is that an exclusive? I like that. So what I'd like to also just ask you, because you have been very, very successful with your social media presence over the last 12 months, it's been a focus of yours that you've been going on. I think I'd like to give a couple of top content ideas to quickly get out there to people who are watching this. Everyone's desperate for stock. It's about building relationships within a community. It's about becoming the authoritative voice within the marketplace. What would be your number one content idea just to get out there and do it?
So obviously I've mentioned, thanks for that, should I just say? So obviously it's totally unscripted. It's totally unscripted, our podcast. So that's absolutely great, Martin. Thank you for that, because it's obviously right on the tip of my tongue. So I've mentioned
Stop
about
buying for time and give us your top tip.
I've done coffee and cake, which I think is brilliant. I think it's about being helpful. So it's not about thrusting it down your throat. We're number one on Rightmove. We sell the most property. It's actually, we can help you move safely if you are thinking about moving. Or lovely bathroom in white, or one with lots of beautiful wallpaper all over the walls. Which do you like? Which bathroom do you like? And obviously they need to be listings that you're currently selling, and just get some rapport and some engagement going on social media, because that's what builds your growth and your development and gets you that out to the widest possible audience. So not a poll, but a little like, oh, which would you prefer? Or a bedroom, for instance, or a pink bedroom or a grey bedroom, or focusing totally on what we're talking about at the moment, about why people are moving and the lifestyle changes. So a view, for instance, or a beautiful garden. So I think you could do some of those on social media. So that's not selling, but it's showing your product off. It's also then ticking the boxes for your vendor as well, to say, look, Mr. Vendor, I've used you. We're not thrusting this saying, getting all your listings out there, because I don't like to put all my listings on social media. I like to try and do it in a more subliminal kind of marketing style. Helpful guides, ebooks. If we're trying to build our stock, if you're a letting agent as well, that's obviously a constant thing that you can have going in the background, some evergreen content, an ebook, download 10 top tips you need to avoid the tenant from hell.
Top tips. I think that's an easy one. Is that you can do. We've all got 5 or 10 top tips for selling in 2021, dealing with a difficult tenant, making sure your property is appealing for buyers of today. There's so much content out there that you can use and borrow. Top 5 tips, but not just put I like your ideas. 2 different ways of doing it. Put that nice picture of a view that you've got and put in the top tip about it, or a bathroom and the top tip about it, or just switch your smartphone round and just do a 59-second quick video about your top 5 tips for selling in 2021 and put that out on your social media, and people start to get to know you as the personality. And it doesn't need to be polished. I've loved some of the, there seems to be a bit of a trend at the moment on social media of estate agents putting out their bloopers, which tends to be, we're all a bunch of potty mouths because there's lots of beeping in there. But lots and lots of bloopers. It doesn't need to be polished. I mean, this show goes to show, we did quite well on this. We get some good viewing ratings, and this is certainly not polished. But it just goes out there and shows you as a personality. I think that's a really good, or just a quick market update, a quick market wrap if you want to be a bit more younger than me. Talking about
the question we asked, what's going to happen on the 31st of March? If someone, I've been asked today, this is my question of the week, my question of the day. What's going to happen on the 31st? What should I say? What advice should I give you if you're wanting to sell now? This is the advice. Just get out. That's why Facebook is called Facebook, because of your face. So get out there and put it out there. If you're worried about content, I read that somewhere, I've just stolen it. If you're worried about content, you can also Google the most searched property terms, for instance, or most searched property questions. So straight away, you've got, content out there. I'm one for making the biggest excuses ever, going, I haven't got enough time, I can't do this.
I'm so busy,
Actually, there's not enough hours in the day, but you've just got to sit down and go, actually,
and there isn't
59-minute video or 59-second video. Why 59 seconds?
Because then you can go on to Instagram, and without an Insta TV, you can do 59-second videos.
You're so ridiculous, you are.
I know. So other digital thing I want to talk about is because I've seen a really, really good product this week, and it is our digital. We don't talk about digital, and we don't drop names of brands in every week, but once every so often we will do. And I would just like to talk about Sprift, because I have seen their new interactive property reports this week, and they are good. Effectively, put it in layman's terms for me, every house I put on the market can have a mini website talking about their property, and you can send that out to people when they've booked a viewing. I thought it was a really, really good. Have you seen this?
Yeah, I'm using it already. It's awesome.
Very flexible, lots of data. I love it as well, because there's always part of me that's that slightly compliance head on. So from a CPR point of view, you are giving the buyer so much information that's being dragged from lots of different sources that it covers you a bit to make sure that you are compliant in such a great level. All of us should be for doing a property information questionnaire with our vendors to make sure that we know that we've got the information that we can declare to this. I mean, speak to Property Mark and the other courses out there for CPRs to make sure you're giving the right information to the average purchaser to make a transactional decision and all that. All that's brought to your attention straight away. I mean, I think that's all very important.
It's very transparent. It's transparency. That's what we like.
That's the word I was looking for.
Transparency. And for anyone, obviously, who is hasn't been on one of Martin's courses, CPRs is consumer protection regulations, and we all should be knowing about that, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
So I'm loving Sprift too. I think it's really awesome. I think what the data is phenomenal. Another offering that you could do is go out on your social media and say, and I know I've been talking to the lovely, beautiful Amy at Sprift about this, is invite your community, your local community, that you have access to data on every single property in the UK, and you can provide a complimentary free property report for them on a property they want to sell or their own property. So it's endless. The opportunities are endless, but obviously there are others out there.
Lots of very good stuff out there.
Home Search is another one, which is excellent as well, and that focuses kind of on targeting on letters, and I'm working sort of closely with Home Search at the moment just to see all of the offerings, and we'll come back further with a detailed review on both Sprift and Home Search at a later date. But like Martin says, we don't like to promote products or do anything like that. We're just trying to just touch on sort of some digital things, I think, at the moment, aren't we?
I think it's a topical news, isn't it? You know, if somebody brings out a new product, and it comes across our attention the same way that it would hit the industry press, then we just sometimes mention it. That's all, not pushing in any way. So I want to know, you always have a fantastic buy of the week. Have you got a buy of the week this week?
I have got a buy this week because it was your birthday. Yeah.
Did you mention that?
And I wanted to give you a little cheeky present. I've got this, Martin. Can you see this?
Oh my goodness, look at that. We've got some merch.
This is a Martin size t-shirt, and that's going to be winging it is extra large. And then I've got a nice petite ladies version for myself. No, I was going to put it on and then over the top, and then put a top over the top and then take it off, but I thought that was just a little bit inappropriate for 8:30 in the morning, and I thought you'd have kittens.
And it's breakfast time.
Yeah, so there we go. So we've got now House of Property merchandise, which is so exciting because people have already said we want your cups. We want a gin. There's gin in here cup. And now obviously we've got our t-shirts as well. So just get in touch with us, like, share, comment, and post up where you're wearing your t-shirt, because I think that's a little challenge, Martin, to you, is when you get your t-shirt, when I post it to you later today, you should get it whenever the post office is going to deliver it. So before the weekend, and I want you to post up where you wear it first, and I'm going to try and work out where you are. Okay.
Okay.
So it's like a where's Wally, but a where's Martin.
You were doing so well. You've been so lovely to me today. Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
Have you got a buy of the week?
No, just my gifts of the week. Because it's my birthday, I've had the gifts of the week. I've shown you my buy of the week, actually gift of the week, which was my man. Do you want another quote? Very quickly before we go, and then we'll go. I did see a joke, Christmas cracker joke, which I was desperate to try and tell you last week, and I completely forgot. What is an estate agent's favourite drink?
I don't know.
Property. Thank you all for watching.
That's very good. So thank you all for listening. Obviously we're in this pandemic together, and we're here to try and help you try to navigate this difficult time, and we're keeping our fingers on the property pulse and sharing our top tips in an amusing way for you all. So despite all the uncertainty and restrictions, people are still moving, we're still here. Keep your questions coming, keep liking and sharing us, and we will see you in a week's time. Take care.
Property. Get it? Property.